Morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. We have a special for you this afternoon, a members-only exclusive event. And we're talking to a CEO once again. It's all part of our Meet the CEO series. If you've been following this channel, you will know that we have great people on the show talking about new innovative products, companies, ideas, the things I love. As you all know, I love building things, and I go live every day, live 12 hours a day to try to grow the best, most honest, most real live YouTube TV channel in the world. I believe we built the best studio for any YouTube channel, and we have great guests. We've got wonderful guests coming up. We're in talks at the moment with Elon Musk, Sir Richard Branson as well. And today we have another great CEO. Today we're talking semiconductors, chips. We're talking communication. It's going to be a really interesting one today because this is a really innovative company. Quite a small market cap. It's not Nvidia. And my guest today is waiting in the green room to share his thoughts with you. So get ready for a great interview. I'm very excited about this one. Now, members, you are watching right now and you will be able to comment and ask questions, and you'll be able to put your questions live to our star guest today. So start thinking of the things that you want to ask, and you'll be able to have your questions put to our star guest today. Now, if you're watching this live right now, then you, of course, are one of our members, and we do members-exclusive videos, members-exclusive live streams, and so on and so forth. However, if you're watching this later in the day, or a week from now, or a month from now, you are a guest of the channel, and it's no longer members only. It'll be members only for the first 24 hours, and then it will be available to the general public. So look out for the video when it comes out. And of course, if you're watching it, you're going, I've already found it. I'm looking at it. So what are we talking about today? Well, let me just give you a bit of background of what we are talking about. We are talking semiconductors today. We are talking Mobix Labs. As you can see, the stock has popped today, as predicted, actually. I said my investors would get behind this one. Remember, full disclosure, I only own the S&P. Another reason why we're in members only mode now, not to pump and dump stock. We're here to bring you great ideas. I'm not roaring kitty. I'm doing this to benefit my viewers, provide them great information from great people, not to pump the stock. I only own the S&P. I wouldn't buy this stock if it was the best stock in the world, because then I would look dishonest, as if I was trying to promote my own thing. So that's not what I do. This is the company, as you can see, Mobix Labs. Recently, there's a deal here I'm going to mention to our guest in a moment. Talking Heads, we'll talk about that. The future of connectivity starts here. What is it all about? Well, connectivity in 5G comes in many ways. Of course, everyone's quite interested in the military connections, but there's much more. AI, how does it play into the AI play? What about Nvidia? Is there any connection there? Earlier on, I mentioned Elon Musk in the preview video. What was that all about? Well, I'll tell you about that shortly. More information here. Mobix Labs delivers next generation connectivity solutions that address the toughest challenges in 5G wireless and advanced communication systems. Our innovations in EMI filtering solutions, wave, radar, and high frequency 5G connectivity are transforming critical industries, ensuring high performance and reliability in mission critical applications. Let's have another look here. This is a bit more about the company. You can see there when they're at the NASDAQ, and let's see if you can pick out our CEO in that picture there. Anyway, there you go. More about Mobix Labs, and of course the website and everything else will be pinned below. You can retrieve that. Okay, what about this look? The stock is moving today. You can see it's up. It's had some volatility over the last few years. It's particularly, and I will ask our star guest about this moment here. There was a particular moment here when it literally fell off a cliff, and then it's been going sideways and steadily down for a while. Why is that? Well, maybe we can learn more about the company today and all the rest of it. So without further ado, prepare those questions there will be a poll at the end. And I'm going to ask you at the end, through our Lucas Archie trading indicator, what you feel about this stock now that you've heard from the CEO. You may have been bullish before, you may have been bearish before, you may have not thought this was something you want to invest in. But at the end of it, I'm going to ask you, do you feel more bearish or bullish after you've heard from the CEO? Talking about putting the CEO on the spot, he'll see what basically people think of his performance. I asked him earlier, I said, do you mind? He said, that's fine. Full disclosure, it's fully unscripted. He's no idea what I'm going to ask him. That's how we do it, unedited. When it comes out, it'll be exactly like this. No difference whatsoever, just available to the general public. So, without further ado, let me invite our guest live onto the show. Would everyone please give a great welcome to the CEO of Mobix Labs. We are talking with Fabian Battaglia. How are you this afternoon, sir? Good afternoon.
Hello. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. Now, there was a little bit of confusion earlier because I just mentioned the name Fabian, and when we showed it up earlier on the on Robinhood stock information, it says Fabrizio. It's because you're from Italy, right? And you were given Fabian as a name easier to pronounce. Am I right?
That's correct. I was born in Italy, and my birth name is Fabrizio Battaglia, to pronounce it correctly. Immigrated to the U.S. I arrived in the U.S. In grade school. The teacher couldn't pronounce Fabrizio. She gave me Fabian, and it stuck.
There you go. So now that sorts that out. So now everybody now understands what we're talking about and why his name was slightly different than earlier. Okay, and I also mentioned as well, Fabian, there's a connection here with Elon Musk. And just before we started, I said to you that this is completely unscripted. You've no idea what I'm going to ask you. You okay with that? And he said, yeah, should never say that. He's no idea what he's walking into. Now he's worried. So, but Elon Musk was known and is known for being a CEO like you, also an engineer like you, working on the ground. And that's unusual. You know, most CEOs are business people, the face of the company, whatever, have a good business acumen, but they don't actually know how to build anything, do anything. And I've always liked that about Elon Musk, and now I like that about you. If I'm investing in you, you actually know how this stuff works and you get it done. Tell me a bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I have an electrical engineering degree, and my first 5 years it was as a designer. And what I found is I was gravitating to hanging out with the sales and marketing folks. And I started going to visit customers with them, explaining our technology and helping customers solve their challenges. And so then I found as my career progressed, I got into field applications, and that's where you're sitting down with customers and solving problems. And so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. Then worked my way through some management ranks, spent a lot of time with a company called Semi, which we'll probably talk about here in a little bit. I was very fortunate to be mentored by a lot of great people that have been that are very successful, very accomplished. And what I like doing is surrounding myself around people that do have the business acumen and understand the finances of a business, and that's very important. And so what I think we have here is we have a good mix of technology, people that are very capable in innovating, as those that know how to manage a business. And if you take a look at our board of directors, and if you take a look at the leadership team here, it's very impressive, very accomplished people.
Great. I like that. And after all, as I have always stressed to my viewers and the people that watch these shows, is that when you are an investor, you buy a company, you own a company. Yes, there are traders, but I essentially am an owner. I just keep buying the S&P all the time. I don't trade, very rarely trade, but I own the company. And I want, if I'm owning an individual company, I It sounds weird, doesn't it? I own the management. You work for me. If you own the company, and you are investing in great people, not just products. I very often say to people, you don't buy a product, you buy a business. A business is a product, but the management manage it, sell it, market it, and grow it. You're not just buying a product. If you want a product, just go out and buy the iPhone as opposed to buying Apple, the business. So you having the understanding of the business, of the product, and understanding of business is the perfect mix. I like that because we're investing in you. At the end of the day, you're the custodian to our pension, if you like. I'm buying your business because I trust in you, turning up every day, solving problems. I love that. I too look at life, and I love solving problems and building things. I love to build things and pass them on to future generations. That's what I've always done. So tell me a bit about Mobix, but also explain to people, because not everyone understands this. You are a company that look to find strategic partners and find engagement with other companies. Not everyone does that. Some people are just a business themselves. They produce a product, they sell it, and that's it. Not everyone, because we have very large investors to very small investors with their first dollar. They don't understand what a company is that simply is looking to partner. What is strategic partnerships? Please, if you could explain that to my investors.
Sure. Well, it's important to note that first and foremost, at the core, we're innovators. We're technologists and innovators. And the best example I can give to you as far as our operating model or our playbook, if you will, is if you're familiar with a company called Microsemi, which I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
You'll notice the DNA of the company here, it has a lot of Microsemi. If you look at our board, we have several board members that were there. And the reason that's important is that what we learned at Microsemi, and Jim Peterson, who was our chairman and CEO at Microsemi, is our chairman here. He and I arrived at Microsemi in late 1999. And at that time, the company was about a $200 million market cap type company. It had very, what I will call basic technology, 2-leaded devices, transistors, diodes. And we converted that company and then eventually ended up being acquired by Microchip in 2018. And it went from a $200 million market cap company and then had an enterprise value of over $10 billion when we exited. And the way we did that was, again, it's the same playbook we have here. Again, we innovated. And what we also did is we learned how to acquire synergistic assets that accelerated our growth. And we had some very strict criteria, both from technology synergy and also from the financial side, on how we seeked out opportunities and how we diligenced them and then acquired them. And then the very important part is how to integrate them. So we learned how to do that, and it took a while for us to figure it out and get very efficient and getting that done, and then continuing our growth. So we're looking to do the same thing here. So our core technology is based around wireless and 5G. We're very good at that. We have some very unique capability there. But as evidence to the strategy, we've already acquired some companies, and we're seeing the growth relating to those acquisitions. And we continue to do the same going forward. So we'll continue to innovate. We'll continue to solve our customers' challenges and help them solve those challenges. And we'll continue to look for synergistic assets which will accelerate our growth.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm sure that's of help to a lot of people. So who are your current customers right now? Who are you dealing with?
So we deal with, right now, as far as what is contributing to our revenue, is mostly the primes. We're designed into some high-profile platforms like the Javelin missile, the Tomahawk, Abrams tank. That's where our revenue is coming from today. We also have, on the wireless side, what we call security sensing, which is wireless related. It's a millimeter wave or similar to what's done in 5G communications for security sensing. So if you go through an airport, I'm sure you've seen the machines that you have to raise your arms and go through that. Well, that technology, the electronics in that equipment is Mobix Labs.
Wow, see that? Look, you wouldn't. This is why I wanted to ask you that question, because when you initially look, when you just browse through options to buy, what stocks to look at and what businesses to look at, you think 5G, you think cellular, you just think, people with their mobile phones. You would never even have thought of that. But yet when you walk through the airport, you're in that device. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And so the company, again, was founded on 5G technology for communications. And what I should point out here is that if you take a look at the specification for 5G as we have it today, your iPhone, if you carry an iPhone, has the 5G symbol on there. The 5G specification calls out for a wide, let's call it, array of speeds, for lack of a better term here. So what we have today is at the lower end of that 5G specification. When you start getting up into the higher speeds that 5G calls out, then you start getting into these millimeter wave applications. That's when you're starting to get into 30 gigahertz, 28, 30 gigahertz and beyond. It's much more challenging to be able to produce equipment that operates at those speeds requires a different engineered solution. And it's much more sophisticated than what you have on the lower end. So that's what we have developed. And while in the communication space, that market is waiting to take off because most of the volume that you see today is at the lower end of the 5G specification. But we are ready and we have the technology as the applications call out for higher speeds. And what will be the tripping point or tipping point to that will be some of the applications we're talking about today, whether it's AI or autonomous vehicles. There will be these killer apps which are going to require higher data bandwidth, more throughput, lower latency. These will be required as we get into these applications. And what we have at Mobix Labs is we have that technology which is ready to deploy to those type of applications. But at the same time, what we've done, we're running a business here, so we need to develop some revenue. We've taken those technologies and applications and ported them over to applications which exist today, and that makes our revenue today. So to kind of a long way to answer your question, who our customers are today as far as who we have revenue from, it's primarily in the aerospace and defense industry, but going forward, that could change dramatically as some of our advanced technology finds its way into higher volume applications.
This is fascinating. If I wasn't just buying the S&P, I'd be very excited about this individually, as I am. For integrity, I can't talk about that sort of thing. So that's all very well and good. Then we have great technologies. But how proprietary, unique, and I know in England we say patent. In England, you say in America say patent. And so patent in England and patent in America. Do you have protections, or can anyone else rip off what you're doing?
Yeah, well, we do have patented technology. So we've developed the technology in-house, and it is patented. But the applications that we are involved in are going to require working very closely with our customers. So in addition to the patents related to the technology which goes into the chips, it's important that you have a good systems understanding so that when we're sitting with the customers, it's not only the circuit techniques which are patented, but it's having an understanding of the applications which brings value to the customers. And one of the things that we have, in addition to just chips, we also have a systems business unit or product line. So we know how this technology fits into an application from a higher level. So we do have not only chips, but we also have system solutions.
This sounds a little bit like the early days of Nvidia, how they integrate and the way they partner with everybody. It's not just buy our chips and get on with it. I like this. This sounds interesting. So that's great. The product sounds great. The partnership sounds great. The structure of what you're trying to do sounds great. The management, the way you're all set up there, you've got engineering experience as well. But what about the business side of things, the money side of it? Because as an investor, you look at this and you go, which scares everybody, you fall into the title, I hate saying it, but a penny stock, 61 cents. Right. How do you feel as a management, as a CEO? How does it make you feel? What do you feel about the stock price? I know for SEC regulations, we can't go into all kinds of certain restrictions we can do here today, but how do you feel at the moment? The stock price is down. Do you feel that the stock is, undervalued where it is today?
Yeah. So, I don't comment to the stock price, obviously, and actually we're in a quiet period right now. We'll be announcing earnings here shortly. My take on that, or my position on that, is if we focus on what's in front of us, if we execute to the plan, which we have executed to before, and we have highly qualified people, very accomplished people, very experienced in executing to this plan, then everything else will take care of itself. So I believe that if we do that, we will be creating value here, and again, the stock price will take care of itself at that time. So I mean, that's all I can say relating to that.
That's fine. That's all I expected you to say. That's perfectly acceptable. When is your earnings?
It'll be the exact date is, I don't have the exact date. It'll be the first or second week in December.
Oh, coming up soon. All yes. Right. Well, if at all possible, it's happened before. If at all possible, and if you give this some thought off air, I can have a question that I could poll from my members, and I could have a question on the earnings. Please consider me. I'd love to be able to ask you a question on behalf of retail investors around the world, and it would be wonderful to, because I will stream your earnings, and it would be wonderful to be able to be on the call as well as stream the earnings. So consider that. That would be an honor to be able to ask you a question from the investors. That would be absolutely amazing. And it'd be a big YouTube moment as well. It'd be quite cool. So there you go. So thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us where we're going to go, where you see the business going in the future? Because obviously tomorrow's a huge day for the stock market. We've got Nvidia earning, and I see some synergy here, some connections. You talked about it's not just military, which of course is a major concern right now with escalation in Ukraine and Russia, and military spend obviously being looked at closely. We've got macro conditions. How is your business affected by these outside macro conditions? Some companies, they are affected by it. Others, they benefit from it. How does all this affect you? These macro conditions I'm talking about.
Sure. Well, the aerospace and defense industry, as we're seeing it with our backlog and our funnel of opportunities, is increasing. The geopolitical tensions are very likely driving that. So we're seeing high demand for our solutions in that space. And then going forward, we think with the new administration coming in, I think is going to be favorable to business and hopefully favorable to investment on the communication side, because infrastructure is going to be required in order for us to be able to take advantage of these technologies, especially in the high end of 5G, as we were talking about before. We're getting into millimeter wave, and we're going to need the carriers to invest in the infrastructure for that. And I'm hopeful that the new administration will be favorable for those type of investments. And if indeed that's the case, then our technology fits very nicely into that.
How are you affected by rate hikes or rate reductions? How does that affect you? Some businesses, like we've said before, Apple, Microsoft, they have bundles of cash and they don't mind when rates go up. It cripples the competition. They don't worry about that. And they earn good money on their cash, uninvested cash, when rates are high. Some businesses, and yours may fall into that category, I don't know, but some businesses, when rates are high, it's difficult for them if they've borrowed money. What's your current borrowing situation, and do you see that improving with the rates being reduced?
Yeah, it will be favorable for us. So being in the phase that we're in, or our life in, I believe lower rates do help us, young and smaller innovation-based companies, because borrowing costs will be lower. So that should be a positive for us.
Yeah. I've got some questions, if you don't mind, going to the investors. I've got a lot of investors here this morning who want to talk to you. Let me see what we've got here. Here we go. This is from an investor called Srinivasa Murthy. What are the key drivers for Mobix's growth in the coming years? What is the company's 5-year vision, and how will it impact the stock's performance? This comes in from Srinivasa. You can see that on the screen. If you could answer that for me, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. I would say in the near term of that 5-year window that's being asked, it's going to be aerospace and defense. And we talked about what are the drivers for that. The geopolitical situation, being what it is driving heavy demand for that. So we're seeing that. We're being asked to participate in that, and we're getting a look at some very interesting programs and projects relating to that. So I would say in the near term, it's aerospace and defense. I think as you get into the second half of that 5-year window, it's going to be more advanced applications like we were talking about earlier. On the communication side, the 5G and the millimeter wave side, we're hoping that progresses to the point where there's going to be an absolute demand for that in some of the applications which are, AI related, things like autonomous vehicles. A lot of things that Elon and other innovators are working very hard on the compute side is fantastic, and I think it's going to be great for humanity. But we're also going to have to be able to connect to that, and that's what plays well into the technology and the applications that we serve.
Great. I've got a question here coming in from an investor from Singapore. Lawrence Teo writes, any concerns with Starlink competition and the 5G towers? Everybody always wants to know what the competition is with Elon Musk, of course. Whoops, I beg your pardon, that flashed on the screen. I'm sorry about that. So what'd you think about that?
No, that actually plays well for us. Our technology will fit into devices that are connected to, whether it's Starlink or your traditional 5G towers. So it's actually a net positive for us as that technology evolves. It's the connectivity part, right, that's connected to those devices, and that's where there's going to a lot of innovation is going to be required as we get into data intensive applications where you're moving massive amounts of data, and they're connecting to these satellites or these let's call them base station points. You're going to need to be able to get a lot of that data moved from the devices that you're connected to into the infrastructure, and that's where we fit. So that's going to be a positive for us as that technology evolves.
You might not be able to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway and see what you say. One of our members here, Chipism, who's also an investor, why did the share price drastically drop in early 24? This might be difficult for our CEO and guest to answer due to regulations, but we'll ask anyway, because we can see when it IPO'd, it had the initial pop and sold off, and then with that drop in 24. But let's see if we're able to get some kind of answer to that.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, I don't comment on stock price.
No.
We did become public in December of last year, and it was a challenging time to come out. Yeah. We are very young as a company, we're young as a company. It's not yet understood exactly what our capabilities are and what we're striving to do. So I think as we execute to the plan and execute to our playbook, and again, I would point you to, as far as credibility to that, I would point you to the people that are involved here. You take a look at our board of directors, and it has people like Jim Peterson, or a David Aldridge, who came from Skyworks, or a Mike Long, who was the CEO of the world's largest distributor, Arrow. These are people that have worked at companies that have market caps that are tens of billions of dollars. So having that level of capability, that level of accomplished people involved, as well as the management team that we have here, I think the prospects for us to be able to execute on the plan is quite good. And again, I would point you back to Micro Semi. This is something that we have done before. We took a company that was relatively low tech, converted it into a high tech company, and exited with enterprise value of over $10 billion. And a lot of the people that are here were involved in that. So again, I'll go back to, if we stay focused on the opportunity that's in front of us, continue to innovate, help our customers solve their challenges, then the capital markets will take care of themselves.
Makes sense. Got to one final question from a member, and then we're going to go to our poll. And the question I'll be asking you in a moment is, do you feel more bullish after you've heard today? Obviously, the stock's down. It doesn't look great when it's down. And if you're an investor, I understand that. I'm sure anyone does. However, do you feel more bullish today on what you've heard? It's kind of a performance rating for our CEO live on air. Nothing better, really. I can't imagine anything better. But anyway, before we go to that poll, I haven't posted it yet. I'm waiting to do so. I want to give our CEO, Fabian, every chance to explain his business to you. Which geographic markets or customer segments are you focusing on for expansion, please, Fabian?
Sure. Well, in the near term, it's going to be U.S. based, because the majority of our revenue is coming from aerospace and defense today. As the higher end 5G becomes more prevalent, then I see us expanding into the other territories, that being to Asia and to Europe.
Okay, thank you. I've got a couple more things to say. Just going to put out this post. Please stand by. Folks, I'm now going to give you a chance now to vote on this poll. I haven't yet posted it. This ranks on Google. It gets seen all over the world. So Mobix Labs, Mobix stock, world exclusive. Now you heard from the CEO. Are you bullish or bearish? Now remember, as a trader or an investor, I'm not asking you to say, do you like the stock being down? You may love that because it's an opportunity to buy the dip, of course. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from the performance of what our CEO Fabian has presented to you today, you've learned more about the business. So I'm asking you, that's the question I'm asking you. Now you heard from the CEO, are you more bullish or bearish? So you have three options. You have bullish, you have bearish, or undecided. You've still not really felt you understand the business. You don't know what it does, so you've got no idea. So if you don't feel bullish or bearish from what you've heard today, please, it's about what you've heard today, be undecided. If you like what you've heard and this sounds interesting for you, perhaps you'd put bullish. If it sounds not right to you at all, then perhaps you want to put bearish. So here we go. I'm going to post that now. That's now live at the very top of our pages. So I'm going to give you the link to the community, and there it is. It's only, of course, a very small number, as we are members only. This will be available later on to everybody else who watches this, and we'll update it and see how it goes. But there is the poll. It's on 0 votes right now because I've just posted it, and we will come back to that in a couple of moments and see how you feel. Do you feel more bearish after what you've heard from our CEO, more bullish, or you're undecided, you're not sure which way to vote? And I'm sure you'll vote honestly, as you always do. Now then, we want to go back to our CEO finally, just to wrap up. I want to say thank you, first of all, for coming on to our show today and being prepared to go for an unscripted show, not knowing what was going to happen. Very brave man indeed. I did have one last question that just popped in. I will give this final question to Nonny315. Are you involved or provide service to any cellular companies or internet providers like Virgin Galactic or companies like Virgin Galactic? That's a bit of a strange question, but anyway, are you?
We're not shipping to those companies today, but we do have applications that fit into what they do. So again, what I would anticipate as the applications require more infrastructure of what those companies, the products that those companies provide, we're going to have more engagement in that area. That's something that we have that's going to fuel some explosive growth for us when that market matures. So things, again, I'll go back to saying, we need those killer apps to really become, more available. And I think that's going to be with the demand that's going to be required from AI and applications, as we talked about, autonomous vehicles and the like. It's going to require that infrastructure to be put in place. When that happens, we have the technology that fits into those applications.
So how do you reach those people then? Because we're in the same sort of business, right? Well, we're not, but I get it. I have a product, and I know I serve it. I provide value. I have a solution. There are things that I do on my show and my channel which provide value and service, but someone down the road doesn't watch YouTube, doesn't know I'm here. When those applications come out and people could benefit from your technology, how do they find you, and how do you say, hey, we've got the solution, let's partner? Because that, of course, that's the key, because if you pull that off, you make money, everybody wins. How do you do that?
Yeah, so speaking to our go-to-market strategy, so that's one of the other benefits that we have from our micro semi experience. So along with sales and application resources that we have internally, we also have a network of distributors and reps that we have worked with literally decades with. So those relationships exist. And we have representation actually globally. So if you take a look at a company at our phase and our size, you take a look at, there's a disproportionate amount of resources that we have in the field today that would promote our products. So I'm not concerned about being able to open a door at any customer. So we can reach the customers at the highest level, all the well-recognized name customers. That's not our challenge, today. We need the technology to advance. We need these applications to become more available, and the infrastructure is required for that. And when that happens, we're there and ready. But at the same time, though, what's important is that we're managing the business that we have today, and that's in the aerospace and defense industry. And we see that as growth drivers for us going forward. And then when these other more advanced applications become more of a reality, then we see the explosive growth at that point.
Great answer. Well, as one thing we love to do is we're going to wrap up this interview now. Is one thing we love to do is we had CEOs on the show before, and we've got many more in the future. Is we give everyone the chance to say how their experience was today, and I will just have a 15-second clip of you. And from time to time, there you are from Mobix Labs saying hello to the world and what you think of this show. I'm safe to ask you. I think that it was a positive experience, but let's see what you say live on my show. So if you'd like to leave us a soundbite, I did ask at the beginning if Fabian would like to do it. I've no idea what he said, and he said he was happy to do it. Don't know what's going to be good or bad though, but let's find out. So Fabian, if you'd like to leave a little comment here, I shall have this as your soundbite later. It's over to you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Fabian Battaglia, CEO at Mobix Labs. Very delighted to be part of the show with Martyn. Appreciate the way he does his show. It's unscripted and gives us an opportunity to speak about the business. And I would encourage everybody to check out what Martyn does and his great work.
Perfect. Lovely. Very nice indeed. Thank you for such a wonderful comment there. That was very kind. Right. Well, the moment has arrived. The moment has arrived. How have you performed to the investors? I've just refreshed the screen, and I'm really glad. You've done very well. They love it, which is great. It could have gone either way. It could have gone either way. It could have been, don't like it at all. But anyway, this is live. This is as it happens. This will live now on Google and YouTube forever. It will grow over time. So it'll be interesting to see how it changes. Let's have a look at what you said to the question. Are you more bullish today on what you have heard today from our CEO? 80% are bullish, 0% bearish, and 20% are undecided. I think that's great. That's a live vote, a real vote, happened live here on the show. You can't get more honest than that. I always get a little bit nervous. I'll tell you the truth. I get a bit nervous and I think, is it going to go? It's not always gone well. It's not always gone well. But that's just the way it is. I'm sure you're used to that.
You think you're nervous.
I mean, that was like your exam results. You know, you come to your parents and the whole world see it at the same time, not just you opening it quietly in the corner before anybody else. Anyway, there we go. Well, it's been an absolute honor and privilege to interview you, sir. I'm going to have to let you go. I'm sure you've got much more important things to do than talk to me. This was a membership, members only broadcast. This will now get put down to its own video. We'll take the little bit out where we lost the Wi-Fi. Don't worry about that. And we'll put this out to the world. And all of us here on Martyn Lucas Investor do wish you the very, very best. We want to see every company do well, make money, build things, fix things, give people jobs, have a wonderful time so we can pass on great ideas and businesses to future generations. So thank you. Remember what I said? I would love to ask, if I'm able, to ask you a question from the retail investor on your earnings, if ever possible. That would be great. It would be YouTube gold for me, and it wouldn't be bad for you either.
We'll keep you posted on that, Martyn. And thank you for having me. It's been fun, and thanks for keeping it real.
Always. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers. There is Fabian from Mobix. Wasn't that fantastic? A really, really great interview. I loved it. If you stay on air, if you want to, I'm just about to end the stream and I can come back to you. Oh, he's gone. He's gone anyway. He's got to go and build some 5G towers. Right. That's it from me. If you enjoyed that, thank you very much indeed. Click above my head for all the links down below in the description. Over here, I shall put the Mobix playlist and down here something else that will be suitable for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. I'm now going to get to work and put this video together to put out on its own merits. But thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.